welcome to the daily English news program on Azərbaycan Televiziya. With your host, İlham, with most important events of the day. Armenian war crimes are characterized not only by the occupation of Azerbaijani lands and the policy of ethnic cleansing. The occupier left no stone unturned in the occupied territories. Armenia will have to be held accountable for this vandalism.
As our occupied lands are liberated and ethnic truth comes to the surface, Armenian vandalism knows no borders. The enemy in all the occupied territories destroyed everything in the blink of an eye with unprecedented barbarism. Destroyed villages, cities, buildings, monuments of history leveled to the ground reflect the true face and essence of Armenia, which is trying to instill to the world its fictional history. They have destroyed everything. They have destroyed houses, they have destroyed all the infrastructure. There is not a single safe building. The whole world should see what the Armenian savagery means, and we will show it to the whole world. Not only at Füzuli, but also Agdam and other cities. It was as a savage tribe had passed through these lands. They wanted to destroy and plunder everything, to erase our cultural, historical and religious heritage. But they could not achieve what they wanted. Because we had to come back, we had to return. We've come back, we've returned, said President İlham Aliyev. Sooner or later, not a single crime remains unpunished. The Azerbaijani army has once again confirmed this proven postulate, putting an end to 30 years of injustice on the battlefield. Other war crimes of the enemy will also receive a worse assessment. There are similar precedents in history, forcing the occupier to pay compensation for damage caused both after the First and Second World Wars. The adoption and implementation of a resolution requiring payment for the damage caused by Iraq to Kuwait after the Gulf War is a historical confirmation of our words. Thus, the damage will be reported to international courts. Thus, after estimating the damage caused by Armenia to our country, an appeal will be made to international courts. Armenian vandalism lasted all 44 days while the counter-offensive operation of the Azerbaijani army was going on. The enemy, using banned missiles with high destructive force, targeted the territory where the civilian population was concentrated, and along with the fact that about 100 people were killed, more than 400 were injured, and infrastructure was also damaged. The executive order of President İlham Aliyev on the measures to assess and eliminate damage caused to the civilian population, state property including infrastructure facilities, as well as to business entities as a result of the aggression of the armed forces of the Republic of Armenia against the territory of the Republic of Azerbaijan, which began on September 27, 2020, the establishment of the State Commission and 14 working groups for the implementation of measures arising from this order will make it possible to systematize these facts. Sooner or later, it's they who will return Yerevan into the city prosecuted by the International Court. Thus, leaving Kalbajar, burning houses, destroying electric poles, even cutting down trees in the forest and setting them on fire, the enemy vandal thereby expresses its attitude not only towards Azerbaijan, but also demonstrates how far his callous essence is from humanity and the world values.
Al Jazeera TV channel filmed in Füzuli city, liberated from the occupation. Channel's correspondent interviewed aide to the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Hikmet Hacıyev.
We're entering in Füzuli after 27 years. There's widespread destruction. What is the plan?
Actually, we see the destruction. It's a vandalism that have been committed by Armenia against the city. And Füzuli was one of the prosperous cities of Azerbaijan before occupation. And Azerbaijan has already started urban planning and city planning process so that reconstruct the entire city of Füzuli and bring internally displaced population of Füzuli back to Füzuli and other occupied territories of Azerbaijan. And once again, international community will see the difference between destruction of Armenia and construction of Azerbaijan. But of course, Armenia as a state bears a responsibility for such an actions of the war crimes against humanity, including the policy of vandalism. And based on that assessments, of course, we will continue to appeal international institutions, including the international courts, so that to sue Armenia.
There is a demand by Azerbaijan to include Turkish peacekeepers. The centers where they are going to be based, that's not decided. How many are there going to be, that's not decided. So how are you going to talk about IDPs coming back to various areas when there is so much still pending?
Indeed, the return of IDP is not going to be an immediate process. A lot needs to be done. You see, but no infrastructure has been left here. No solid building have been left here. And all areas have been contaminated with the mines and unexploded ordinances. Everything has been destroyed. Therefore, it requires from Azerbaijan to start new transformation, restructuring policy in these areas. The Russian peacekeepers are deployed in Nagorno-Karabakh region of Azerbaijan. As regards Turkish peacekeepers, it's about a monitoring system, and currently these parameters are in the process of discussion.
Thank you very much. That was Hikmet Hacıyev, a special advisor to the President, talking to us in Fuzuli, where there is widespread destruction all around. Most of the infrastructure in the city has been taken out. Locals here tell us that it was a city and surrounding areas which used to have about 140,000 people who were displaced from this area, and since they were taken out in the 1990s, there has been nothing but destruction that has happened here. So a lot needs to be done before people can actually come back in.
The Armenians who are supposed to hand over Aghdam to Azerbaijan are setting fire to houses and stores while leaving, Sputnik Armenia reported. A man named Armen, who lives in Aghdam's Boyahmedli village, has burned down his house and grocery store. Other village residents take their belongings with themselves and set fire to the rest. It is noteworthy that Armenians have committed the same actions in Kelbecer. The State Tourism Agency prepared a commercial about the sites of Zengilan, liberated from occupation. The video features a tomb of Mehmed Beyli, built in the 14th century in the shape of an octagon, the ruins of the ancient city of Sharifan dating back to the 12th century, a historical source of the same name in the village of Habis, a white stone named after the national hero Horoglu, the Albanian church in the village of Babasi district, the Pisichai Reserve created in 1974 to protect the unique natural plane tree and the forest in the area of 107 hectares. The project envisages the screening of such commercials reflecting the tourism potential of other liberated lands. Special quarantine regime in Azerbaijan is extended until December 28th. Due to the increased COVID-19 infection rate, it was decided to implement certain restrictions. The use of masks in both open and enclosed spaces is considered mandatory, the task force under the Cabinet of Ministers reported. In order to prevent the spread of the virus in Azerbaijan and its possible complications, the term of the special quarantine regime in the country will be extended until 6 a.m. December 28, 2020. All citizens are required to follow social distancing and pay special attention to the usage of masks. People over the age of 65 belonging to the high-risk group are advised not to leave their residences unless necessary. During the briefing, the task force under the Cabinet of Ministers called on citizens to avoid social gatherings in enclosed spaces. It was stated that due to the increased COVID-19 infection rate, it was decided to implement certain restrictions. It was emphasized that taking into consideration the involvement of a large portion of medical personnel in treatment of our soldiers, the continuation of vigilance in that direction is very important. Assistant to the President, Hikmet Hacıyev, said that aside from separate instances, there was no mass infection among our armed forces. Taking into consideration of the increased infection rate due to the healthcare system operating on two fronts, the task force adopted a number of decisions. Hikmet Hacıyev noted that the increase in COVID-19 infections is concerning. We have injured soldiers and our main duty is to prevent their infection with the coronavirus. This is important for the protection of their health. The new decision recommends institutions and organizations operating in the private sector and other areas to reduce the number of employees to 30% and to transfer other employees to remote work. The vaccine is expected to be prepared in April next year. Yakut Karayeva, head of the Department of Disease Prevention and Control of Tabib, said that the number of tests had increased as a result of the measures taken and special equipment imported into the country. At present, coronavirus testing is being carried out in all regions using high-level equipment imported from abroad. It is possible to perform more than 13,000 tests a day across the country. The daily death toll used to be about 10, but now it has reached 25. This is also very concerning. 2,597 infections with the novel coronavirus were registered in Azerbaijan. 1,354 people recovered after treatment and were released home. 23 people who earlier tested positive for COVID-19 died. The overall confirmed cases in Azerbaijan have reached 83,994 with 59,456 recoveries and 1,053 deaths. The number of active infections is 23,476. To detect new infection cases, over the past day, 12,874 tests and overall 1,562,444 tests have been conducted in Azerbaijan. The task force under the Cabinet of Ministers reported. That was all for today. Thank you for being with us and see you next time.